guys, it is 10 seconds from 11:30 Eastern, 15:30 UTC. We're going to actually officially kick off a 40-minute conversation among the chief delegates here. I would ask that if you have questions in this process, post them in the Zoom chat. You'll see a very good example of that by Andrew. He posted a question prefixed with Chief Delegates Q&A in brackets. That's a great way for those of us who will be moderating questions to find your question. So put your question in the chat. We're going to give them time to talk amongst themselves. And then near the end of that 40 minutes, I'm going to move us into a question and answer phase where we'll start to pose those questions to the chief delegates. So with that, chief delegates, the floor is yours. Go.
Right.
Go ahead, Chris.
So gentlemen, do you want to do, the first question I have is, are you guys going to be okay for like monthly meetings, or we did it weekly for the last trial round, which I think is too frequent, but sort of the first request I have of the group is, are you guys going to be okay with some sort of regularly scheduled meeting that we record, and I'll do the work like I've done in the past of curating, creating a video and putting out a written summary of that to document our progress. Just want to get that commitment off the hop.
Sounds good. I can commit to that.
Sounds good to me.
That's good to me.
Cool. And then the other request I'll make before we get into the whatever we want to talk about, if it's possible, the EOSrate.io tool that we're using, the rate BP, I use the edenproxy.org will basically weights the Eden members' votes based on their participation and then success in this election. And I would like to have a symbolic vote from us amongst to pick one symbolic winner who then has the greatest weight in that tool. I'd like to use our subjective views as to who should have that greatest weight and therefore make the best, potentially best votes, or we trust their votes in terms of how they use the EOS rate tool. And I'd like to not use sortition voluntarily, but we don't have to do it. I'd just like to throw it out there. If you're okay at the end of this 40 minutes, we try to do that.
Yeah, I would say that I'm against sort of finding anyone, who wasn't the sortition winner. I think we should be happy with the sortition winner and not sort of, go ahead with the, determining who would have won if sortition wouldn't exist. As I believe, I don't know, it feels too slippery to then sort of denounce the, I don't know, not the powers, but it's too easy to denounce the sortition winner in some way over the other guy.
Okay, so you'll abstain from participating in that. Fair enough.
Yeah,
I'm not personally.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Okay, I'm not personally opposed to that. Just being that it's simply for the EOS rate tool, but I'm open to being persuaded otherwise, as John has just indicated his objection.
I am also open to being persuaded. However, my objection is that because there's nothing on the line, I don't think that we would have necessarily, like if we were to do this and find a symbolic winner, I don't think it would be necessarily the same with actual EOS on the line. So I'm okay with it, but that's just kind of my objection.
I think it'd be too easy because we're just saying, oh, it's just for EOS, rate, it's no big deal, but another project or another thing that we can vote on will happen, and another thing, and it sort of goes from there. And for us to say, oh, we're gonna utilize sortition and then immediately determine who would have voted otherwise, it seems like we're not fully respecting sortition. I think if we're going to implement sortition, we should go sortition full stop, rather than, oh, but if there wasn't sortition, then it would have been this, would have been that, because again, it's then too easy for other members to say, oh, okay, well, we know who sortition winner is, but who was the other guy, and sort of then, I don't know, not follow that leadership. I think it sort of dilutes the sortition winner in a way. especially for those who aren't so much of a fan of sortition. I think we either respect sortition from day one, full stop, or we don't. But again, I'm a fan of sortition.
All right. So yeah, I agree with John on this. Let's just stick with the process and let's go with the process. And that should be good enough, I think. Respectfully, Chris.
Okay, I won't. That's fine. That's fine. I'll accept consensus. So whoever wins sortition, my request is to please, whoever you are, spend some time on EOS rate and vote for some BPs and rate them, because your weight is going to be most influential in picking who that proxy votes for. And right now, it's not a very meaningful proxy. It's small, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have some meaning. It's the voice of the community. And so now, whoever you are, sortition winner, you might be really busy. You might have a lot of the projects on the go. Too bad, you're the sortition winner. So hopefully you spend some time on that rate tool.
So
does it all have to? Sorry, go on.
So Chris, I know that your role is very important in that with you being part of your support, you are also the transparency guy, and you do a lot of great work. So I think at the end of the day, the sortition winner can still be able to work or delegate some of that power to whoever that it is, especially if we're very good at doing that. I think the group can get together and, pick a person like yourself who has been doing the work, right? And then maybe you can continue your job.
That's what I'm saying. If we pick someone symbolically, then they get they have then that position in the rate tool. But anyway, I know that it's like 6 to 1, half dozen the other. The sortition winner is going to win and then delegate the responsibility to somebody else, or we can just all come to consensus on who has the time, who actually is looking at all the BPs. Aaron would probably be a good guy. He's got a good, maybe he doesn't want to do that though. Maybe it would maybe create conflict. He's going to then select certain BPs and give them the rating, and that might be potentially controversial. So maybe he wouldn't want to do that for that reason alone.
Yeah, so the person who wins would appoint that person. So I think maybe we will do that afterwards, right? Yeah.
If I accept it, I don't think no. If we're gonna go with the sortition winner, then they get the extra weight in the proxy vote. I'm not gonna. It's like now we're splitting hairs. We're gonna let the sortition winner win, and then one person can pick who gets that. I think it's more meaningful to have us collectively pick that person to have more weight in the vote. And we're just talking about one small thing here. But if we're not going to do that, I don't agree. I'm not going to use the sortition winner can say, hey, I'd like to give my extra weight to John, but I'm the one who does that rating. I'm the one who does the spreadsheet. Right now, that proxy is all on my shoulders. And so I don't think I'll accept that. I'm still going to use a sortition person's vote.
All right.
It's fine.
Yeah, so we can talk about that later, maybe. All right.
Yeah, I think going with sortition seems to be like the general vibe, and any one of us here is capable of exercising that kind of judgment. So
yep, sounds good.
Cool. Did we address the first question that we had come through?
Here, so what we'll do is we're going to hold the questions. We're collecting the questions right now. We'll hold those to the end. You guys continue to have your discussion as if we're not here.
Okay, so I guess we can start introducing ourselves to the community, maybe, and go for that. Go from there.
Go for it.
All right. My name is Randall Rowland. I'm a EOS Genesis member, Eden Genesis member. I'm also a physician, and I know a little bit about technology development. So basically, when I found out about Eden, I was very excited. I followed Dan. I read his book. I tried to think through the process, and it was a process that I was willing to participate in. So I participated in the first trial election, second trial election, and in the process, I've been able to make a lot of friends, and that's how I'm here today.
Cool. I can go next. My name is John Williamson. I'm the creator of Violet Garden, the social media project exclusively for Eden members at the moment anyway. And yeah, my background is software development. I've recently just finished working for EOS Nation for the Bankor project. And before that, I was working for the Karma project. I've been a follower of Dan Larimer and especially sort of like the BitShares project and things like that, and obviously more equal animals. I think is great, and I'm keen on exploring those ideas more and how we can build a bigger and better community and work out new methods of governance.
I can go next. I'm Chris Barnes. Background I think is irrelevant at this point. I'm here to provide transparency and hold recipients of community funds accountable and create a central location that anyone in the EOS community can go to and look to see all the recipients of community funds and see how they're doing, what their roadmap is. Are they adhering to that roadmap? How is their spending of funds working? All the transactions that are coming to and from that account with some sort of description of how those funds were used. And then if there are issues encountered, I'll try to have one-on-one dialogue with every recipient, willing recipient, one-on-one dialogue. If they're having issues, hopefully they're transparent about those issues, and then I can attempt to try to help them solve those issues by becoming some sort of a middleman and learning to know all of the different people in the space, especially the Eden community and their respective skills, and then perhaps tie people together. Or if two projects are having similar problems, but they're not communicating with each other, I can maybe recognize these similarities and try to tie teams together to help them collaborate and solve problems so they don't try to solve the problem concurrently and waste time. So it's about efficiency, it's about transparency, and it's about collaboration and community building. I'll continue to do what I've done up to this point with being present. We'll see about regular morning calls that could be open for people to join. I'll certainly keep doing the Monday open mics, maybe do a different time to, again, grow the community, create a collaborative environment for people to work within. And then, definition of community funds. I think that's an important one. It's basically any and every recipient of funding that comes from the blockchain itself via inflation or RAM and name fees. Every recipient, I'm going to knock on their door. It's up to them whether they answer it. It's an open hand approach. It's not a finger pointing approach. If they do not want to answer that knock on the door, I'm still going to look, and I'm going to make sure that my centralized location of all this information says that they didn't answer the door and they didn't want to talk to me. And people can draw that. I won't be drawing conclusions. I'll be presenting information and any communication I have with these recipients. I will keep it as publicly available and transparent as possible.
Hey everyone, my name is Jesse Jaffe. I have a marketing background. I studied marketing in college. I started in my own agency 5 years ago. A year after I started it, I found BitShares and Steemit, and I thought they were amazing. I then went into EOS. I've been here since the beginning, and I am trying to get EOS into as many hands as possible to help fix our sentiment issue. We get flooded everywhere. Everyone knows that. And if we can coordinate all the languages, then we can have a competitive advantage over other chains who cannot coordinate the languages. And so I'm so thankful and grateful to be voted in this position. This is where I want to be. The EOS community is my community. I feel most connected to everyone here compared to any place I've ever been. And I am very excited to work full-time into bringing EOS to where we all think it should be. Thank you, Hernan.
All right, I'll go next. My name is Brandon Lovejoy, but for simplicity, I'm just going by Lovejoy, so we avoid the ambiguity between Fancher and I, Brandon's and Brandon's. And I just like the name Lovejoy anyway. Yeah, early EOS community member, part of an Genesis block producer crew, EOS Detroit. No longer with them, but been involved since the early days, and prior to that, BitShares and Steemit as well. I kind of didn't expect to be here today, but very humbled and delighted to be part of this illustrious crew of people. I essentially was backing all the projects that are being represented by the other people on this on the board here. So I find myself in good company, and I guess you would say, like, overarching motivation for being involved here is really on the fractal democracy side of things, and Eden, trying to make this new consensus technology touch the earth and be impactful in people's lives, IRL, just not even just on chain, but in the communities that we are a part of all over the world. And yeah, my background is in multimedia stuff, video production, writing, and so forth. So I guess my particular skill set would be suited to helping with communications and helping to coordinate people, similar to Chris, but a little less organized than he is. That guy is a machine. I mean that in a loving way. And yeah, that's about all I have to say for myself at the moment. Happy to take any questions later.
I'm up last.
Thank
My
you,
name is
Lovejoy.
Aaron. My name is Aaron Cox. I am a software developer. I got involved in crypto with Steam as an application developer, became a block producer there, and then moved over to EOS, where I was one of the co-founders of Greymass. It's kind of been my mission the whole time to make these applications easier to use and create situations where normal people can get involved and use this new technology in this space. That's why over the years we focused so hard on Anchor and Fuel and services to make things just that much easier for users. So I hope to be able to bring that experience to this group. We have a pretty well-balanced group between developers, marketing, community, organization. Excited to be a part of it.
Should we go around and if we win sortition, describe what we'll do? Get it on record.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Go ahead, Jesse.
All right, so if I win sortition, I'm going to use it to distribute the funds as described in materials that I've shared with the community. A quick, maybe just primer. We have the Queen, the Princess, the Workers, and the Scouts, and we have 12 different language hives. And so the Queen, myself, earns 5% of those funds. The other 95%, they go to the hives that are proportional to the amount of bees in each hive. It's an objective way we're starting to distribute the funds. We have asked the community, or at least have shown the community in our spreadsheet document, that 25,000 EOS with a 6-month runway and pay out every 2 weeks. So it's basically you just take our treasury divided by 12. That's the salary every 2 weeks. Winning the sortition would put it, so it's about 4,000 EOS a month, because Eden pays out per month. So we were looking for about 4,000 EOS. The sortition's a little bit more than that. I think that's a good place to start. I understand that some other of my bees have also made it into the second round, and we're going to be working with EOS support. And so anything over that, I'm going to have a discussion with Randall and Josh about potentially distributing funding to them as well.
John, you want to go next?
Sure. I think I'll first seek the counsel with my fellow chief delegates. Each of them is, representing another group of people. So I think, we'll form a huddle, probably bust out a, Google Doc, sort of Excel spreadsheet kind of thing, and really talk about what the highest priorities, are that we want to fulfill, what's best for Eden, what's best for EOS. But yeah, I would like to push forward with the development of Violent Garden, and how we can push that forward and make that a better product. And I think, well, one of the questions, is how can we get more people on the blockchain? And I think if we just build, awesome dApps for people to use, the people will come. But obviously, grey mass has been a massive help to the network, and I think our membership of EOS in general will be a fraction of what it is if it wasn't for grey mass as well. So yeah, no, I really have to seek the counsel of my chief delegates before determining what exactly we do with the funds.
Cool. I'll go next. I'm just going across my screen here. So yeah, if I win sortition, I would look focus mostly on EOS support and your project, John, Violet Garden. I think at this stage, we want something that we can execute on. We want something that's going to be deliverable and have more immediate impact. EOS support can have pretty quick impact on onboarding and user experience, and creating a centralized location of trusted data and trusted information, and having those widgets for the tech support on various EOS websites. That's an immediate thing that can start delivering value tomorrow.
Yep.
John, your project is already delivering value because you've already got a wicked MVP up. And I think what you're doing is absolutely incredible. So I would absolutely be using some of the funds to support what you're doing. Beyond those two main projects, there's enough funding. Certainly I will listen to the council of the chief delegates to see if there's any other good use. But beyond that, I think another, depending on how it works, but using some of the funding to encourage and support Pomelo pitches. So I think I'd like to also, I haven't mentioned this yet, but I've committed in the last round, it was down to the wire. I'm still not over the stress of it. My eyes twitching. But Mark had a great proposal, and so did Reiki. And so my commitment to them, which wasn't on camera because we had to jump onto a separate Zoom because we ran out of room, ran out of time, was I will try to help them. I will help them with their respective Pomelo pitches. And I'll put the offer out to everyone in the community here. I will try to become a bit of an expert at Pomelo pitches, and I will try to help every single Eden member with their pitch. I'm maybe biting off more than I can chew here, but I'll try. And so part of that, if there's funding that's not being fully consumed as a sortition winner, I will then try to, I don't know if gaming it is wrong, but as long as it's not my own project, I can probably disseminate some of those funds to Eden members to have them each individually donate to a Pomelo project, thereby multiplying the quadratic nature of the funding to maximize what they can get out of that. So I think some of the funds should probably go there for some select projects to help them receive maximum funding to multiply what we're doing here within Eden.
Yeah, so if I become the sortition winner, I'm going to continue doing the project that we've been working on, which is providing EOS user support for the community. So there's a couple of things that we are doing right now. We are going to be having a face-to-face Zoom agents that can help with Eden inductions. So you can book a time, and basically you can have 3 or 4 Eden members who are available to help with induction ceremonies to make it a little bit more organized. So we need agents for that, and we have to pay them for their time. Number 2, we have to pay Eden members to be available. So in the future, once we have dispute resolution, we can start arbitration processes, and we can start using some of these agents who are available to also help with disputes. So that's something that we are thinking about. So some of the funds are going to be given to these agents as well. We want live chat agents as well, transparency agent, that's Chris. He has to be paid for his time. We have to also pay content translation and creators. We have to also pay developers like EOS Costa Rica and Pisa de Live. They've done a great amount of work with us, creating smart contract, which in the future we can use to automate the process of paying agents and also creating some sort of reward processes for people who come on EOS support and the other Eden websites to learn about EOS and to complete courses about EOS. And these are things that we are building right now. The Learning Center, we have things on there right now, but eventually it's going to be like EOS.io Learning Center, where we can go through things with people. The first thing we do is we create an account for them, show them how you use the account, how you take your tokens off exchanges, how you stake, how you vote for BPs and all that stuff. We are willing to do all of that. And we have a pitch deck, which has all these things broken down into how much we will pay each agent or representative. And for October, right now we have 3 people. With the cost of everything, we are looking at maybe 10,000 USD, but hopefully we can continue to do this and expand it, and we can make EOS a currency by doing that. And we hope to create a lot of value for EOS short term. And we hope to also work with Jesse to find a solution, okay, for the onboarding of the EOSB's accounts, which we are talking to EOS Costa Rica about, to eventually, hopefully, if we have enough funds, to deploy on-chain referral system, which we've spoken about. So there is plenty of things that we are looking forward to do, but immediately, we will start paying Eden members to get into positions to provide for themselves and to create value for EOS and Eden as a whole.
I got a question for the chief delegate, if I may. So during the whole process, which by the way was amazing, congrats to everyone. We had a lot of rounds and 180 people that truly care about Eden and the future of EOS. So I think most of the people that at least I encountered during these rounds have a proposal of what they think will bring the most value to the community, to EOS. So my question to all of you guys is, how will you make sure that the other voices during these elections are heard, and some of those projects are also getting prioritized during your watch, and not only so that I think we have a risk of having a one project takes all kind of a situation on Eden. And I think it's important that every chief delegate here can at least explain us how they are going to at least allocate or focus on the voices of the community and the Eden members that want to get here.
Hernan, I appreciate the question, but maybe we can continue with the answers to each, because not everyone's answered yet. Just what we're working on right now, which is what we'll do if we win sortition. If you want to type it out in the chat, just so we make sure we get it succinctly, that would be good if we have time.
I'll reiterate that, guys. We're going to hold all questions until the end. Please put your questions in the chat here on Zoom. We are collecting those questions, and we'll ask those at the end.
All right, I think I might be up next if the screen order is the same. Yeah, I have to reiterate the point from several other people that I think consulting with the fellow chief delegates is crucial here. And of course, Hernan just mentioned is that there's so many good projects to support. And I think putting all our chips in one pot is probably a questionable idea in many regards. I came into this pretty much supporting everybody here. So EOSBs, Violet Garden, EOS support, Of course, unquestionably, Gray Mass Anchor always has my support. And I'd like to find a way to distribute funds. If I were to be the top chief delegate, find a way to distribute funds that would maximize each of these different projects. And someone said at the beginning, perhaps it was Mike, that we're standing on the shoulders of giants. And here I feel like we're standing shoulder to shoulder with giants. And I think it's crucial for us to be able to work together and see all these projects flourish. You know, these are some really crucial projects. So I'm not the money guy, but I would definitely be seeking support from everybody on this board or council to help find a way to distribute those funds in a manner that would be most beneficial to the EOS and Eden. I also need to mention some of the people that inspired me along the way in the 2 previous rounds that
yeah, I see that much every day downstairs.
someone needs to mute. Beans in round 1, she's doing some pretty incredible work in Ireland on the ground, trying to organize actual political efforts there. And I think Eden being able to create materials and provide support to folks that are attempting to use this consensus process like on the ground in different regions of the world would be hugely beneficial for us as a community. And also Chuck McDonald, who was in round 1 as well with me. He's working on a food charity, and I thought part of what he wants to get out of that being a way to well, I had some notes here, but I think I deleted it. Onboarding organizations onto EdenOS, not just individuals, but organizations that can use this technology and document the process and create templates for that by working directly with different organizations, I thought was a really huge idea. So I'd like to see Chuck McDonald's work continue, and he's of course the voice of the Dan Larimer audio More Equal Animals audiobook. So yeah, there's so many good ideas in this community, and the other one is EOS support. Another person from the previous round was talking about making t-shirts and I think merchandise, and is part of the EOS support group. So I suggested that they work together as well, because it certainly couldn't hurt our community to have more ways to express the love for the network that we all see needs so much attention right now. Of course, bees are running point on that in a lot of ways right now. But yeah, just looking forward to working with everybody here and trying to distill the wisdom of the crowd that we've been fortunate to be a part of.
I think I'm jumping in last here. The platform the topic, I guess, that I am pushing forward is onboarding. It's a very similar theme that you hear from a lot of these other presentations. We recently, just yesterday, expanded our account creation platform out to the web, and what we're kind of seeking in this process is being able to expand it even more. And I think the best example I can give in the context of this environment is we would like for Eden members to be able to be onboarded with an EOS account extending the technologies we've already created. And not just Eden, but any application that's built on top of EOS. With the new web platform and the in-app purchases and all this other stuff we've just enabled just yesterday, users can pretty easily onboard from our side. Like if we tell you to go there or a community member tells you to go there, you're going to be able to create an account. But what we want to do is expand that out so that way inside of other applications, inside the Eden election portal. Like as you're signing up and you're being inducted, like you'll be able to create an EOS account. That's the kind of technology we want to create to expand this into. We have components of this already. That's how we have our new web platform, which is, I think, at create.anchor.link. Anybody can go there and create an account, but you have to go there right now. And our idea is to expand that to everywhere, whether it's your favorite NFT platform or an exchange or the Eden member portal or whatever it is that you're building that's based upon the blockchain and the community that we're working on. We want to be able to offer that technology and really help with the onboarding of new people into the ecosystem in an easy way that they don't have to be technically proficient. So that's the pitch that we're running on and what we want to see happen. I'm not opposed to, you know, should I be the sortition winner helping promote other projects? But I think personally, and kind of going back to my background, onboarding is going to be key to all of these other projects we're talking about. So having a focus on that, both from the technological aspect and from the people aspect, you know, support these, whatever other groups that want to show up. Having both pieces of those puzzles in place is going to be critical. So that's how I got up here onto these chief delegates today and what I hope to continue pushing forward on as we move into wherever this goes.
All right, very good. We're going to move on here in just a moment to a question and answer. But before we do that, are there any final words that you guys want to say? Okay. So the first question comes from Taras, and they say, we discussed the possibility for Eden-style fractal elections to be used to govern other DAOs, blockchains, and so on in the future. Will we start from EOS? Or it is not so important to start from EOS, and we can reach this goal faster with other blockchains, for example, Solana or any other? And Taras, feel free to chime in if you want to expound on that a little bit. All right, so the question is submitted to you, the chief delegates.
Okay, I think that this is Eden on EOS, so it should come from EOS. The funds are coming from EOS inflation, and so that's what we're trying to do with EOSBs, to build communities in other languages and to prop them up with the benefits of EOS and helping them solve their problems that EOS can solve. So that's kind of my opinion on that. Should come from EOS.
Yeah,
all right.
I mean,
Any other comments?
We're proving the technology here with this EOS community, and hopefully the learnings that we come up with will be applicable not only to other blockchains, but other communities. This is, I mean, blockchain in and of itself is a grand experiment, and this is another one on top of it. And it's going to be exciting to see what we learn and how we can improve it and how we can apply it everywhere.
Yeah, my take on this is, yes, this process can be applicable to the world at large. I think we've all spoken about this at times, and we've heard analogies of where this can be done, selecting a high school president, selecting the president of the United States. So the question then becomes, okay, where do we want to try to have people come to make this a simple process, to use the Eden process? And yeah, I guess someone could develop this. You could take the open source code and then put that on Solana, sure. But we can beat them to that because we already have open source code that's written on EOS.io that works on EOS. So the next step is to take this open source code, and some group or team can basically create almost like DAOable. So click a button, and now you've created an instance of Eden on EOS. Well, sorry, just EdenOS that happens to be on EOS, but it doesn't have the same purpose of this. So EvaCoop, Joshua, I think he made it to the first round. That's a great ride sharing platform that's looking to spread and use this Eden process amongst their taxi services. So what they needed ability to click a button and open a brand new instance of EdenOS that is running on EOS. So all of their taxi drivers now need to get an EOS account. Excellent. There's more user onboarding. And then they have their own instance of this that doesn't have the same membership that we currently have, but it's yet another instance of this running. And so this might be able to exist on Solana and some of these other blockchains, but it's here first. So if you want to use this process for your respective purpose, whatever it might be, you're going to come here to the EOS blockchain first to spin up your instance, to get a user account, and to run your election.
Excellent. All right, we're going to move on here. Question from Leo says, in general, what do the chief delegates think should be the highest priority items for the ecosystem? And we'll start with Jesse. Or we can move on to John if you're choosing Jesse.
Yeah. I think one being retaining consensus. I think the chief delegates need to stick together, get along, meet frequently, invest in teamwork and transparency, and then after that, deliver something, get something out in production, get that quick win, make a statement of what we can do as Eden as soon as possible, and go from there.
Cool. Chris, highest priority items for the ecosystem?
User onboarding, making that as simple as possible. The rest of it's irrelevant if we don't have users.
Aaron, anything to add to that?
I agree. I mean, it's been a long road to get where we are today, but getting users in and making things usable, we're in a pretty good place today, a lot better than we were years ago, but there's still a lot to do to make it so that, people can have their accounts, they can manage their accounts, and then when something happens, like when disaster strikes, they can recover that account. It's heartbreaking to see how many people have lost accounts through both nefarious things and just difficulties, because things are hard.
Yeah. Randall.
User onboarding, very, very important. So I agree with Chris. I agree with Aaron. I agree with Jesse, John, and Brandon. We have to make this as fast as possible. We have to get on this. And I almost forgot AMI. So EOS in the box. EOS in the box.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be working with AMI after this election to see how Eden members can become a multi-sig to help with account creation and storing the backup keys for them. So yeah, account creation, user onboarding, very important. So I agree with all the other delegates.
Excellent. Lovejoy, anything to add?
Yeah, just as Aaron pointed out, besides onboarding, it's like a triple problem, onboarding and then having something that people want to be onboarded for to use, is kind of part of the package process. Somebody in the comments just alluded to that. So I think we have onboarding as a complex, multi-part problem, and yeah, and EOS in a box could play a role in that as well. And I'd love to see Eden be able to play a role in providing that kind of reputational back end that can allow us to, risk account creation in certain areas where we might not otherwise if we were just completely dealing with random people.
Thanks. And Jesse.
I do agree that onboarding is very important, but I perhaps have a different perspective. I think our biggest problem is our sentiment issue. Everything's relative, and compared to other chains that we have better onboarding, we're way behind them in the market cap category, and that's because we get flooded everywhere you look outside of our bubble. So I think the most pressing thing is to show the crypto world that EOS is not dead, and I think that is a very fixable issue, and it can be done immediately.
Excellent. All right, Andrew Ware asks, what are some ideas for bringing non-blockchain users into the EOS ecosystem? I'm gonna throw this one out there for any of you to answer. Some ideas for bringing non-blockchain users into the ecosystem.
I think just good dApps. Make it so that people don't care if it's on a blockchain or not. They see a dApp that they like, they want to use it, they'll jump through the hoop and do what they need to do to get on it, whether that's a game or a dApp or whatever it might be. Seduce them.
Seduce them. Wow. Okay.
That's one way. I've long wanted to see somebody disrupt events with blockchain, and I don't know why we haven't combined location data with calendar data with capability for people to get together and kind of self-organize. And I think that would be a huge way to get non-technical people in, because everyone wants to have events. Like, I cannot believe Meetup hasn't been like dethroned yet. It's just ridiculous. That's my fun little insert.
All right, great. We have a lot of questions. We're going to keep moving forward here. Vincent says, there are a lot of funding initiatives currently. What do you see should be the relationship between Eden, Pomelo, the EOS Network Foundation, and EOS Starter for allocating community funding? For any of you.
It's a tough one. Can you read can you reread it? I don't understand.
Yeah, sure. We discussed the possibility for Eden style fractal elections to be used to govern other DAOs. No, I'm sorry, I'm reading. Did I already ask that one? Hold on, I've lost my place. Here it is. Yeah, there are a lot of funding initiatives currently. What do you see should be the relationship between Eden, Pomelo, the EOS Network Foundation, and EOS Starter for allocating community funding?
So my take on this, so who decides to allocate community funding? That's not really
it's up to them.
Yeah, right. So what we should do is it's the collaborative piece. It's having all of these potential projects speaking to each other, and then finding where they mesh. How can we be most efficient with funding? Like if you have a project over here on Pomelo and a project, John's project, well, say there's another similar project. Can we tie them together? Is there overlap? Is there an efficiency to be gained? Recipient of funding from the EOS Network Foundation directly. Can some of their work maybe be open sourced in a way to support a project that needs some questions answers? Is there a way we can, if this community funding is coming from one pot, we want to do the most we can from that pot. And I think the way we do that is collaboratively. So however we can facilitate collaboration and synergies amongst projects, we create efficiency, we then create an ability to do things faster, and we'll get more done. So I don't know if that answers the question, but that's sort of how I view those four projects together.
Randall has something to say there. You're muted, Randall.
The whole point of fractal democracy is to have different organizations and to be resilient. So we want randomness. So sometimes some projects can be funded by Eden, but a similar project can be on Pomelo and be funded, so that we don't have a point of failure. We want to have so many different projects. We shouldn't worry about the fact that maybe there's a duplicate somewhere, right? We want redundancy so that we can be a lot more resilient. Now, regarding the fact that we have Eden is now being funded by the EOS Network Foundation. So our goal is to provide as much value so that the foundation can talk to block producers to let them know that we are doing such a great job for the EOS community as a whole, because we are just a part of the EOS community. Now with Pomelo, it's a way for the community as a whole to now go on the platform and decide for themselves which projects they want to donate to, which is, given. You are given, right? You're gonna provide support for your project that you like. So donations, and those donations are going to be matched if they are considered public good, right? So it's very important because we need these public good projects. A project that a lot of people want to get Lambos, but if you don't have a project that's a public good, like let's say the military providing security for the nation, then your Lambo, you can't drive it, pretty much. So we want projects like that. So you go on Pomelo to fund these things, right? And then EOS Starter, what they are doing is they will accumulate funds, investments, and grants from different places, and they will look into helping the community grow these projects. They will look to see which projects needs help, and they will help incubate them. So I think in that aspect, a lot of projects are going to benefit from that. And the EOS Network Foundation as a whole is being led by one man who has the power now at this moment in time to provide a way to distribute funds at this time so that the community can grow. So that's how I see this, and I hope it works out for the best for EOS.
All right,
I could jump in real quick if you guys want to. Maybe I could clear up a bit of the EOS Starter, where it stands as I see it.
We're gonna continue on with the questions. We have a lot of questions to get through, and there will be more time to talk about EOS Starter and other things. So we'll keep on moving forward. But thank you. Abesh is asking this question for Jesse. I agree with you that changing the general sentiment about EOS is one of the most important immediate problems we have to solve for EOS. What are some of the crucial messaging that you will be focusing on? How will you achieve the dissemination of that messaging?
Yeah. So there's a lot of misconceptions out there, and there's a lot of FUD out there. And so that's two different approaches. The misconceptions, as I see it, is these people claim that EOS is centralized. I look into the Ethereum community a lot. This is their main talking point. And I have experience, and other bees have experience making explainer videos, funny, entertaining explainer videos, and then using YouTube ads to disseminate that. Now, on the FUD side, anything, EOS is dead, scammers, you name it, now we have the B code. That means you can't insult and you cannot cause a negative reaction. So we've gotten help from advisors, and like myself, we are writing responses for FUD, positive responses. So just for example, someone says EOS is dead, we could respond to something like, but they need a response. That's the most important thing. We want to respond to every piece of FUD. So for example, we respond to something like, someone's spreading fake news about EOS. That must mean the price is going up soon. So it's a way to, not insult, but we're addressing all the pieces of FUD. And if we can hit, it's just impossible right now to hit every piece of FUD, but the more FUD that we can hit, and the more misconceptions we can address, that is what we're focused on.
Excellent. The next question here, this is from Hernan. If you win sortition, how will you make sure that all of the other representatives get heard of, or get heard and prioritized regardless of the stage they went through in the election? So how will you give all delegates a voice?
I think Michael phrased that question better.
Oh, sure.
I can answer that question based on what I heard.
Let me add Michael's. Okay. Let me just add Michael's question on, and then Chris will give it to you. Michael said, what percent of sortition funds will you Yeah, just go ahead and answer that. I'm having a hard time finding
Yeah.
which Michael question it is. Go
I'm
on.
not going to answer that second question anyway, because that's not the one I wanted to do. Totally different.
Yeah.
In terms of like giving everyone a voice who's participated in this, I'm going to take the time to go through every single one of these videos and aggregate every single person, their pitch, and try to summarize it in one spot on a spreadsheet that anybody can look at. And that'll be the start of collaborating. So we're going to see what all the projects were, how many people had the same project, how many people maybe should get in touch and realize that they're actually working potentially on the same thing. So I'm going to take that on as one of my first tasks, and I will present that for everyone to have access to. And so, yes, that's how I'll try to have everyone's voice at least heard in some fashion. From there, where do we go? Pomelo pitches, team building, and yeah.
All right, thank you, Chris. Next question here from Vincent. 6 months is a fast turnaround for electing a new set of delegates. What can be done to transition smoothly between governing bodies? Any of you?
I think
Have another election.
That's
Yeah,
a
well-
question for Dan. Right?
I think
Yes.
good documentation, good transparency to begin with. Everything that we build ourselves should be done in mind, where offboarding is kept in mind. So if we build something, we ask ourselves at the exact same time, how do we offboard this? How does this migrate from everything from building products to, how the hell we manage the Twitter account and stuff like that. So yeah, it's our responsibility to make sure that we can pass the torch over to the next people cleanly for the help of the community.
All right, great. And then real quick, what percentage of sortition funds will you use on your own project compared to other community projects? From Michael. Starting with Jesse.
Yeah, it just depends on how much funding is available.
Okay.
So I made some calculations based on the funding that's available right now. We have a number. It's 4,166 EOS per month. That's what we're looking for. Anything over that, I'm going to talk with other projects like EOS support. And so I more have like a fixed number. And I believe that the total funding could change if, like Dan had hinted at. So yeah, that's my answer. All
right. Anybody intending to have a different allocation for a difference between what's for your own project versus other projects? Anybody else want to chime in before we move on?
Yeah, I would just say that, yeah, it depends on the council of my fellow chief delegates before we make the final decision. I'm open to all feedback and that to be influenced.
All right, excellent. A question from Ray for Randall and Jesse. Will EOS support and bees be connecting together via a common CRM database?
We haven't talked specifically about a CRM database, but we are talking about other ways to connect. For example, in our Discord, we have a help section that links the person to the EOS support website. And I'm looking forward to working with Randall to further connect our two projects.
All right, with that.
Same thing. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Excellent. Question from Hernan. If you win sortition, will you commit to a transparency process like the one proposed by Chris? I see some nodding
I think
heads.
it's a yes or no answer,
Affirmative.
so everyone can
Yeah.
go.
Any
Yes,
no's?
I will commit to my own process.
Of course, yes, absolutely. And it'd be really awkward if you didn't, because you'd be like doing all this public on-chain activity and then not accounting for it would be very strange. And I don't think you'd get very far.
So I will say that whether Chris is doing this or not, our plan is to make our project very transparent. For example, our meetings They're going to be recorded and translated, the subtitles into English and all the other languages in the Hive, so everyone can see what's going on. We have a report at the end of the month. And so, we're going to publicly detail all of the transactions. And I'm happy that Chris is going to help aggregate all the other different projects into one place. I think that's going to be really valuable. And so, super excited to work closely with Chris on getting that done.
Great, thank you. We have about 30 minutes left before we have a head chief delegate. And we do have more questions, so we're going to continue our way through these questions, but I wanted to give you guys an update. We're getting close. All right, this question is from Elias. At this moment, EOS is technically superior, but lacks in outreach. What do you think about a picking Twitter fights with other cryptos approach to comparatively demonstrate EOS's superiority, which in turn becomes the marketing? It's a question for all of the delegates.
I'll just
I
say really brief.
don't like it.
Yeah.
We should not be picking fights. Our goal is to attract and onboard. That's impossible to do in a negative environment. So it's all positivity, at least from the bees. No fighting.
Yeah, I'm with that general philosophy. I don't believe you can win an argument, because when you win an argument, you make the other person wrong, and then you've got an enemy. So got to be very careful about how we approach that sort of thing. I think proving EOS value proposition in the positive sense, rather than confronting the.
I think we can all agree on how the EOS Ethereum killer narrative played out. So let's. So that's a good example of how I would try to avoid going against specific blockchains, be either Ethereum, Cardano, or whatever. Like not picking fights. That's my.
All right, and then this question is from Elias again for Jesse and Roland. Is your pay schedule uniform for every country? If so, cost of living is cheaper in developing world countries and more expensive in others. It seems like it would lead to inefficiencies.
Yeah, so that's certainly going to be taken into account. In the beginning, when we're just setting up, I've set an objective way to pay the hives, but as we get some feedback, then have the system is set up that I do have the power to make adjustments on how the hives are paid. And I'm well aware that the currency valuations and cost of living is something that needs to be taken into account. But in the beginning, we're just going to use an objective way.
All right, Randall.
Yeah, for EOS support, actually, I had a meeting with Chris, Joshua, and Dario, and basically we just accounted for the work that is going to be done, and we came up with the payment system that we have on our pitch deck, which breaks down how much we think at this moment in time for the value that is being created, how much each person is supposed to get paid. So I think for live agents, it's $10 an hour, which is like a cup of coffee or so. And for transparency, it's $25 or $30. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but pretty much you can go through that list and you can see how much we are going to pay. And if it works for you, then you join support and we will take care of you.
All right, thank you guys. This is a question from Leo. Any concerns around the chicken and egg problem for onboarding users versus not having sticky apps?
Yeah,
Aaron,
yeah, that's right up my alley. It's very much a problem, but I think personally I've come down on the line that the onboarding needs to come before the dApp, because what we've seen up to date is that apps don't want to build with an unknown in their future. They don't, like, if they're unsure if this hurdle they face is ever going to be solved, why would they want to build here? Like, when they're evaluating their risks, they need to factor that in as, you know, a business, their business of building their app. They really have to take that into consideration. So for things like public funding, we should try to build those first. It's like in a city, you know, if you were going to want to attract businesses to your city, you need the roads to exist. Businesses aren't going to come set up and wait for you to build the roads. The roads are going to have to be there so they have a guarantee that if they build their business, people can get to it. So it really is a chicken and an egg problem, and it is a good example of what public funding like this can be used for. Yeah, I mean, that's where I've fallen down, and I'm happy to have debates if anybody's very strongly feeling the other way around.
All right, this is a related question here from Mohammed. Has anyone given any thought to what kind of environment we want or need to create to incentivize the portability and creation of killer dApps that will attract and grow the user base? For example, gaming, DeFi, social media, supply chain, and what's necessary for this?
Standard ways of doing things that they can adopt in building of their applications, so that way they don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's a lot of wheel reinventing going on right now, and being able to solve problems for these people before they have them is going to be critical for that.
Yeah, I agree. Against standards, I think a lot of the contracts that we deploy are really stupid. The way that we do it, where there's so many, you know, EOS.io is so flexible and it gives us so much power that we're not even, you know, utilizing a fraction of. You know, we can have so many more reusable contracts, and with that come standards, and with that can come potentially protection as well. Especially like DeFi products. So many DeFi products use the same stuff. So if you hosted the funds on the one contract that was then approved by EOS governance, should something then fail, then again, you've got a polished Ricardian contract and you've got a centralized ship to save, rather than a bunch of, you know, small ships with, you know, an amount of people that you can't save when they do fail, like when they get hacked and things like that.
And another actually follow up on this topic. So what about progressive onboarding? For example, a traditional site progressively drawing users toward the independence of owning their own keys. Both dApps and apps could coexist while traditional systems better deployed on blockchain are phased out. I'll throw out an example myself of that. I saw in Upland where you get their in-game tokens, but not until you reach a certain threshold do you actually have a wallet created for you. So what do you think about progressive onboarding?
Well, I had one idea for Violet where essentially any Eden member can invite another person, or any Violet member can invite another person, and you know, initially EOS governance or Violet itself pays for the creation, but immediately once the user tries to, you know, claim their daily reward or something, that's, you know, taxed, and that gets taxed until the EOS account, you know, creation fee is then paid off, and then it goes from there. So in some cases we'll lose money, but again, you know, in theory we'll get more wins than losses, and that will be a viable way for user account creation. I think every dApp should still ask themselves, hey, is there a you know, a way that we can fit this within our tokenomics for, you know, to pay for our creation ourselves.
All right, and that question was from Markham. A question from Andrew here. Are there any thoughts on creating an EOS.io plugin for Google's Blockly coding interface? I think a 4-year-old should be able to make a smart contract. That's how we unlock amazing dApps, in my opinion. Snap and code blocks on EOS?
Would be cool. I've never heard of it before, but there's a lot of things that could be done to make development of that kind of stuff easier. And they should be explored. The developer experience is probably only second to the user experience.
Yeah. All
I
right.
would.
So many
So,
amazing ideas out there. Go for it, John.
I would just say I think it's easy to sort of hold on to a bit of like the Ethereum style, where if you want to deploy anything or make anything, you got to deploy your own contract. With EOS, we again can reuse contracts. So I think we should try stop people in a way from creating their own contracts and seeing exactly what they're doing, because there might be the X and Y problem. So many cases, especially in like IT support, the user says, "I need this." And not often enough do we ask why, why are you seeking, what are you trying to do here? And then when you ask that question, you're like, oh, well, if you're just trying to create a token, go to this big token contract where 1,000 tokens are already hosted on it and it's approved by EOS governance and things like that. So yeah, I think deploying a contract should be the first thing that's done like it is on Ethereum.
All right, great. Elias asks, whose responsibility is it to keep Eden funded?
Everyone's.
That's a team effort.
Yeah, Eden.
It's the token holders that elect the block producers, and the block producers have chosen to fund the foundation, and the foundation is funding Eden. Like, it is a long chain of things, but at the very, very top, it is the token holders who could change this. At the core, there are a few steps in between that could also make an impact, but like the funding is coming from the network right now, and the network funding is being directed by token holders through the BPs. So anyone else could donate individually and help fund it if they chose to do so. Like, they don't have to go through this process, but this is what we have today. So really, it's all of us.
Yeah, I think it's going to be important for us to highlight and be really loud about the great things that we're doing, so that the token holders, or the whales specifically, know that we're doing good things and we're adding value. And these are funds well spent. So it's incumbent upon us to make sure we're extra loud, and not shy away from failure. That's the other thing. We want transparency is about accepting that you're not always going to be perfect. You're not always going to be right. But as long as we can be mature about accepting some bumps in the road, and it's more about demonstrating really loud how agile we are and how we overcome obstacles, that's what's going to create confidence to then trust us with more funding.
Yeah, and that being loud and showing off both success and failures could lead to new whales that then help support new initiatives and help shape the network moving forward. I mean, large token holders are not static entities. There are new large token holders, I don't want to say every day, but there could be. And then there could be people that are liquidating their positions and moving on. So it's a fluid environment where, like, our promotion of the good that's happening can kind of create a cyclical loop of positive feedback.
All right, very good. Mark asks, what should the Eden community's posture be towards Block 1 throughout the Eden process?
Unless they come to us, we pretend they don't exist.
Okay.
I have a different perspective. I feel that Block 1 is part of the EOS community. In fact, that's what I consider one of the biggest misconceptions in EOS that we like to address with EOSBs. We plan on promoting Block 1's products, and this internal fighting with the EOS community and Block 1 is shooting ourselves in the foot.
They're just a community member, and that needs to be emphasized. I mean, they've played a large part in the software development itself, but as it stands, they're not involved in this process. They could be, just like any community member could be. But just like it is with every community member, they have to come to us. and that is my co-pilot meowing.
Yeah, I like the idea of the hand is extended if block one wants to reach their hand back. So don't close any doors, but an extended hand doesn't mean it's a hand that's open waiting for a handout. It's a hand waiting for a shake.
Nicely said, Chris.
All right. Great answers. Debray says, to all, if you see the current blockchain ecosystem, there are lots of developers who have left the EOS blockchain community and joined some other blockchains due to various circumstances. What is your plan and how can we bring them back? How do you attract developers that are going to build the applications? They are the pillars.
Like Aaron was saying, we just have to create a better user onboarding process so that when the developers come on board or they decide that they want to build on EOS, at least they know that there will be a better way for them to have users who can easily use their product. So I would say let's build the road, and we will get the products to where it's supposed to go, and we will build the country. So I highly think that we should just focus on onboarding, and everything will take care of itself.
I think it's an awareness thing. I'm not a developer, but I do understand our advanced permission structure and all the other benefits at EOS.io. I think it's the root of our sentiment issue that developers have left and are not coming back. And so we certainly want to promote the benefits of EOS.io.
All right, very good. Only a couple more questions here in my backlog of questions. This is to everyone, and particularly Aaron. How can EOS, and this is from Douglas, okay. How can EOS bring apps over from Wax and Telos?
It's mostly just creating the environment. Yeah, sorry. In which, you know, it's a good opportunity to work in this system. People have made the move for various reasons, whether it's onboarding because of Cloud Wallet, or it's because of the resource model, or maybe it's the tooling itself. You know, a lot of the tooling works across chains. It's not hard to move between them. So it's about creating the incentives to make sure that they want to be a part of this specific chain.
I have to ask, Aaron, is this just like a camera trick, or is your cat gigantic?
He is a fairly large cat, and he has decided that he wants to be a part of this.
Excellent.
So,
he has my vote.
Yeah. He is an old bugger that demands attention occasionally. So I think he's 18 now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But he is fairly large. We think he has some like Maine Coon genes in him.
Awesome.
Being on video fulfills only one requirement, so he has to show his name. What's his name?
Yeah, Napoleon.
Nice.
He's in charge.
We can tell.
Yep.
Anybody else want to chime in on that? How can we bring apps over from Wax or Telos?
Yeah, one of our worker bees, Blake, or Dip Schlappers, as he's known on Telegram, he is working on bringing Dust. This is just an example. One of our worker bees, he wants to bring Dust, which is the chat app on Wax, where you earn Dust tokens and NFTs for chatting. The Dust team is a very legitimate team. They're on Wax. They're bringing it to Polygon now, and we are talking about having a test environment on the EOSB's Discord. I'm actually kind of curious of what the broader EOS community thinks about this. So the goal would be to show the Dust team that EOS is ready for Dust, but in the test environment, it would be like you would need a Wax account because it's on Wax. So we've been debating, me and the Princess Bees have been debating on whether that would be appropriate for EOS. And if people could comment, I would like to see what do you think about that?
My answer to this question is exactly what Hernan just wrote, and that's users. If we bring a ton of users, we onboard a ton of users into the EOS ecosystem, then those dApps are going to be incentivized to want to port their projects here to then capture some of those users.
All right, great. We have a question here from Michael. Will you commit to advocating for Eden members proxy voting using the Eden proxies? And as a follow-up, the Eden proxy vote shows how many token holders support Eden. Even among Eden members, we have little tokens proxied to Eden. Do you think it's important to increase the Eden proxy state or stake? Proxy stake.
I can answer that first, but then Michael made a point that he wants everyone's response to this. But my answer that I wrote was, yes, I think it's important that Eden members approved proxies aggregate more stake so the subjective views of actual caring EOS community members can have a meaningful impact upon BP selection. What do you guys think?
All right, others?
Yeah, I'm in support. I think we should all jump in if we can.
All right, great. And then this is the last question I've got in my queue here from Elias. As Block One's products, Voice and Bullish, being possibly the biggest apps in crypto, what value do you see in that being deployed on the EOS chain? In your opinion, do you think they will be deployed on EOS mainnet or not?
I don't think they are I thought they're deploying on a private chain and then they're just doing the block headers on the EOS mainnet.
A lot of unknowns.
I seriously doubt they're going to deploy on public. They're too heavily regulated. I think they'll still want full control. They'll use the fruits that you can get from a private chain, but I don't think they're going to dab it on a public chain.
Try to create an environment with whatever we can change that would encourage them to, if at all possible, just like it would be with any other application. I mean, they are one of the most well-funded actors in the space, and so that would, be good incentive to have a focus on that. But they are their own beast, and we may or may not be able to create an environment that works for them.
All right, excellent. Well, that's all the questions that we have here. And thank you, Chief Delegates. Again, congratulations to all of you. We have 10 minutes left before sortition kicks in and we have a head chief. That also means that we've got 10 minutes left for the 10 EOS contest to grab the entropy from Bitcoin block headers and fire up those sortition engines. I've seen at least 6 new blocks come in since I last checked the state of sortition. So I don't know, maybe one of those would work. So I'd encourage you guys to go in, seed that randomizer. And if you guys want to take a 5-minute break, feel free, but be back in, I'd say be back in 5 minutes, because just a couple minutes after that, we're going to see the results. Thanks.
Could I add just a quick comment? So I want to just take 2 minutes to really congratulate you guys, the Clarion team, Brandon, Mike Manfredi, Dan, and all the team. This is, the evolution is evident, from the first trial election when we had to, upload our videos to Pinata and submit our election on the Telegram and mention who we're voting for, until this, which was practically all automated all the way through. It's really amazing and a really amazing platform. And I really think this is truly like revolutionary, nothing short of that. And I really want to congratulate you guys for the amazing work done here.
Thank you. and I
Thank you,
appreciate
Hernan.
that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
cheers. Can't be said enough.
Yeah, Mike and Brandon, you guys have been so awesome to interact with every week, and I'm so glad that you guys have brought it to this point, and along with the rest of the amazing team at Eden, at EdenOS. EdenOS? I still can't get used to saying it that way. EdenOS. But anyway, Clarianos. There you go.
There you go.
Let's say it like I'm an Italian.
Clarianos.
Clarianos. Okay, that's
clarines.
yeah. Yeah, the fact that this went so smoothly is a testament to, like, it's funny when you're in a position to create something where by virtue of nothing happening, you've done well, like the fewer, it's like nothing went wrong, so that must have been easy, like, but
I
the
can say
opposite is true.
I'm going to take a long nap after this.
Oh my God, I bet.
Let me get some rest.
While we got everyone on, Brandon and I get to be on live streams every other week and talk to the community, and we're seen more often. And I've been joined by Stephen and Todd here and there, and Thomas and I recorded a video that will go out next week. But since everyone's here, if you liked the look of the portal, that's Thomas Hallgren. He doesn't often show up on a live stream, so he's here. Big thanks to him. Stephen Watanabe, he is the mastermind behind the entire contract. He's a rock star, and he will quietly just go do awesome work. And so glad to have him here, and please do know his name because he's doing great work. And then of course Todd. Some of you know pieces of Todd because he's shared video tutorials and whatnot, but there are parts of this app that are just impossible in normal blockchain land without the technology he's built in the last 4 months with us. So the entire election stats page is powered only by Todd's work. Like, there's no other way we could do that. So awesome team. Oh, and then there's this other guy, Dan. What's his last name? I think. Thanks for making it all possible, Dan.
I've got to hand it to the team for pulling this off. This has been an incredible experience from my perspective, sitting back and participating as a user, where you guys take care of all the technical details. Things went incredibly smoothly. I am super proud of the product that you all have put together, and just everyone's participation. This has seemed extremely fluid and natural and fun and exciting. I think it's a great way of bringing the community together. So the suspense is killing me. I want to know who's winning. I'm already imagining that future versions of this UI will show you currently, if there's no new randomness, this is the winner, and then they can like get their heart rate up. But
put their faces on a horse avatar and make them run like getting the winning horse ahead.
Yeah.
Well, the thing I keep reminding myself is that every person in the top has already received a significant amount of funding just by getting to where you are. Right? It's not all about the head chief. It's everyone on the top here has funding, and everyone who voted to put you on top has funding. And so we've done a fantastic job of getting funds into the hands of a lot of people who can then use those funds to sponsor all the various projects that are out there. So really, really excited to see how this works. I think each and every one of you has done tremendous contributions to the EOS community. And I have consensus of the various people who are observing and not even participating. They seem to have confidence in it. So it looks like we're likely to continue to get more and more funding as things progress. But you've got to ask the question, whose responsibility is it to make sure Eden gets more funding? Every single person here, right? And there's several sources of funding. One is more donations from EOS inflation. The other is donations from Block 1, right? Now that we've had this successful election and Block 1 can see the results and whatnot, I think that there's potential that they could fund things. But also projects like Violent Garden. It creates a token and gives UBI to every single member, and that funding can then be redirected back into the community. So there's all kinds of ways. And last but not least is just increasing the incentive for people to participate as a member and more membership fees. The idea of membership fees is not to take from everyone, but to 1 + 1 = 3, pool resources to produce something of more value to all the members than the value that they're contributing. So I have extreme confidence that things are only going to get better from here. It's amazing what has been done in just the past 6 months. We went from nothing to a very seamless experience. And if I do say so myself, but a lot of that credit is due to the Clarion team. So most of it is due to them. So thank you guys.
You might as well do the countdown then, because it's like a minute off.
Counting for a while.
I'll
60
share
seconds.
my screen here. We can do the countdown and then the elect process together.
Hold on, let me get my champagne. 1 sec.
We're going to play the final
Okay, on
countdown
screen.
video.
Final countdown.
Head chief selected in 59 seconds.
Scary.
Yeah.
My next community song will be a countdown song, so we can always play it as the countdown.
Process ready.
Could be like in Spaceballs, except instead of going plaid, we've gone fractal. They've gone fractal. Ah.
This is
once
much more quieter than 3 years ago when they're launching the mainnet. Really.
So once this timer runs out, we'll submit this transaction. We'll see this page transition to the view of chief delegates.
5, 4, 3,
3,
2,
2,
1.
1.
Finalizing election.
All right, and so
Who is
now
it?
tonight's
All
we
right,
don't
no
see
winner.
it. Here we go. Let's see.
It's Aaron Cox.
Aaron
nice.
Congrats.
Congrats, Aaron.
Congratulations.
Yay.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Aaron.
Congrats.
That's great. That's great. Well done.
Randomness gods.
Yeah, RNG Jesus.
Congrats, Aaron.
So appropriate.
Yeah.
Very well deserved. Congrats,
Justice.
Aaron.
Perfect.
The magic of randomness.
Yep, big congrats.
So, all right. Well, now the real work begins. So, congratulations, Aaron. Can't wait to see what happens over the next couple of months.
Just a couple of points of
journey.
Does Aaron want to make a final speech here?
Yeah. Speech,
Yeah, we
speech.
I have absolutely
Aaron,
nothing
start us out.
prepared necessarily. The randomness has spoken, and I will do my best to listen to the group we have assembled here, the group that has been elected, and we try to make the best decisions we can to move both Eden and the EOS ecosystem forward.
Yep. Satoshi has spoken. All right. Well, thank you guys for participating. And I look forward to the follow-up and all the videos and everything people are going to be putting out. Yeah, things are just getting started. So talk to you later.
Well, before we go, I just have a couple of points, administrative points here. So you'll see if you go to the election page now, there is a new election automatically scheduled 6 months out. So as of right now, we're looking at April 9th, which should be a Saturday, 1300 UTC. Of course, stay tuned, but this is open for opting in and registering for that election already. But also on this page, you're going to find a link to the election video upload service. So this is where you go to upload your videos. Remember, those need to be in within 48 hours after the start of the election. So 1300, day after tomorrow, UTC, those videos need to be uploaded. If you have trouble here in the short term, we'll be looking into that with getting those uploaded. We did have some reports that some uploads were failing, although there are a lot of videos already uploaded. And then you can also come and see all of the previous election results, that same stats view that we were using throughout this call. If you're curious and who's in which group and want to watch those election videos, etc. Finally, when you are signed in and you want to see who your chief delegates are, we'll sign in here. You'll see the My Delegates section. And of course, I wasn't participating. I was in this group supporting, so no delegate was chosen for me. But you will see the delegates in your line all the way up to the head chief there. And information in the Treasury for projected next distribution amounts. Now, there is one more point of business that we have here. Okay, if we go to say Aaron's profile, it says delegate funds available. There is an action, where'd my thing go, that anyone can call when it's time, monthly, and we're going to be exposing this in the UI here soon, but this is open to anyone. And where is it? Distribute. That will make those funds available. So let's do that. And I'm going to run this as many times as it will let me.
Anchor is paying fees for its own distribution.
Has someone already pulled funds from the Treasury? It's gone down by 10,000 EOS or 14,000 EOS.
So those funds have been set aside and earmarked in the contract.
It pulls those funds out first and now distribute them as he runs those actions.
Oh, you have to run it once per every delegate.
There we go. Not per delegate,
No.
but it is in batches. Yeah. So now I got nothing to do, and that's what we want. And now, if we come here and see, Aaron Cox has an initial swath of 5,255 EOS available for withdrawal. You delegates, no matter what level you were elected at, go log into EdenOS. You can get to your profile by clicking on your name, click My Profile. You'll see the funds that are available. You will also see a withdrawal button. That's where those funds will be withdrawn right now, tariff-free, to your EOS account that is on file. So in this case, this would go to aaron.gm. Now, if you have, if you have to work out some bookkeeping things or maybe some of the tax consequences, you can wait to withdraw the funds. The funds don't have to be withdrawn immediately. They will accrue. So it's not use it or lose it. Those funds will be available to you to withdraw when you're ready to do so. So that's it. Great. Any questions?
I'll also add to that, Brandon, could you pull up this link I just dropped in the chat? Everything you have seen Brandon do in the background to keep the election moving along, and some of the stuff that you may or may not have seen, that's all documented in this document, which is linked. It's called Running an Eden Election. It's linked off of that same URL we've shared 50,000 times in the last couple of weeks. And if you scroll down to the lower half of the page, everything in red, those are the actions that need to be run. And so this just lays out what needs to be run when. And again, anyone can do this. There's no special permissions. This is what we were doing in the background simply to prod the contract along when it needed it.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Mike. That's all I've got.
For whatever it's worth for everyone, we've been testing this so much that I'm looking at this UI like I can't even get that this is real. So I'm glad it's real, and I'm glad you guys are actually taking distribution from this. It's really exciting to see.
We're actually just all on your screen, Mike.
I was going to say, it's real, but it's just a simulation. So.
If it's really real.
Some good deep faking.
Very convincing simulation.
Well, with that, thank you all very much for being here. It's an honor to be in this community with you all. And until next time.
Until next time.
Looking forward to it.
Till we meet again.
Thank you.